yours too.
Get it? I gotta look good.
I know. You won't ever let me. Yeah.
Are you ready?
No.
All right, here we are.
Stop! You didn't.
Welcome.
You're not recording, are you?
I am recording.
That's rude.
It's been a while, and we are back to Jay and Ciara's poker night in America. We haven't played a lot. We have not been playing a lot lately. But we wanted to get in the festive spirit for Christmas here and do something today while we had our Christmas costumes on that we're sending out cards to our families.
We're just going to make a Facebook.
Yes. So we did play recently the other night, and so I've captured a couple hands from that, and I thought they were interesting hands. And we'll see what you think about them. And we'll do a video. And I also want to explain what other projects we got in the works at the end of this thing.
Okay.
Is that all right with you?
No. But okay.
You're just the worst co-host of any video I've ever done. Let's go! All right, here we are. Hand number one. So the last few times Ciara's been playing, she's been running hot. She hit 6 sets in one night, but this is a separate night. Let's see if that hot streak continues. So first off, this is your hand. Do you remember this hand at all? Pocket 8's in the big blind.
I don't.
You don't remember this? Okay. Well, let's see. Let's see if you can remember it once we get into it. And,
this isn't from last night.
This is from last night.
Ah.
All right, so we got pocket 8's in the big blind. Not a bad hand. What are you thinking? You know, you get 8s. You excited? Not excited?
I'm okay with it. I like it.
I like 8s, right? You can win a big pile with 8s. And they're easy to play, too. You hit a set, you're good. You don't hit a set, you're just full. So I don't mind, especially in the big blind. So let's get going here. We got an early position raise, $10. Pretty standard last night, right? It was like people were just raising 10 to 15. Kind of a small game, right? Comparative to what we've been playing. So that's okay. So we get a couple callers, button calls, and what are you thinking? Really no reason to 3-bet here unless you just want to go.
Yeah.
I mean, so the reasoning for 3-betting here is you know that these guys here in late position that just called, they don't have great hands. Right. They just want to see a flop, right? So you could make the argument, hey, I'll 3-bet to $60 here because there's already $30 in the pot. So you could make the argument, if I make it $60 here, I could just win the pot right now without seeing a flop. But your only concern with that would be this guy that raised first, right? He's early position raising. If you make it 60 and he makes it 200, you just got to let it go, right? But so an argument could be made for 3-betting here. But I'm okay with set mining too if you just want to call and see a flop, which is, you know, what you opt to do. But did 3-betting ever cross your mind here?
No.
It never would cross your mind.
No, I wouldn't, because you know.
So maybe next time let's think about it. Like, hey, if I 3-bet this, but you do have a problem with bet sizing. Agree?
I do.
So if you 3-bet, you can't make it 20 here. Everybody's going to call you, and it's not going to do anything. So you'd have to make this at least $60 to $70. And I don't think you're comfortable with that just yet, raising that big. All right, but we'll get you there. We'll get you there. You'll become a degenerate gambler here soon enough. All right, so we just call and we see a flop. And wouldn't you know it, the hot streak continues here. The hot streak continues. We flop a set of 8s, right? So what's your first thought here? We flop a set, but it's a straighty board there. No flush draw yet, so that's good. But we flop a set. In your first act? That's tough, right? Tough act.
I bet $25 here.
You do. You'd bet out, which I'm okay with because there's 4 people in the pot, right? If it was heads up, you're always checking the other guy here, letting him bet, and then see where it goes from there. But because there's 4 people in there, you definitely don't want this to check through and see a free card. Right? You want to bet and get as many hands out as you could possibly get out. Because what happens if a 9 comes or a 10 comes, right? Then it's a 4-card straight. You're looking worse. So you do bet. I think you bet $15, $20 there. And you get everybody to fold, but your nemesis in this hand calls. All right? So your head's up. So what are you thinking they have? Something, you know?
My nemesis, the one I don't like?
Yeah, your nemesis. Your nemesis calls.
Okay.
In this hand.
It starts with an M?
No, different. But what are you thinking when they call? What are you thinking?
I'm thinking at this moment that they have like a king or something. I don't know. They have an ace or something, and they're paying to see the next card. That's what I'm thinking. I don't think
just an ace, or like ace king, ace 10, something like that.
Yeah.
So like a straight draw.
Right.
They have a straight draw. Highly probable. Highly probable. Yeah. So what straight cards would be like king 10 would be, open ended, 9 or an ace on both sides, something like that. Maybe ace king, just one to peel one more off because you bet kind of small, 15.
Yeah, I did.
So maybe you can peel one more off.
And another thing too that I was thinking with, I'm like, it's not that great either. But if they were really confident in their hand, they would have raised.
Boom. Yes, exactly. So you know that they're not too confident in their hand, right? So maybe they have a one pair hand or a draw, right? They're not confident, right? Because if she flopped 9-10 here, which would be the nuts right now. I'm drooling all over myself. You're gonna hear from her, right?
Yeah.
Like, so that's not even an option. So if she has queen jack, you're gonna be hearing from her right now. But because of the call, that's a great analysis. She's not too happy with her hand. Right. She maybe has a queen at best. The best hand she could have right now is a queen. Like queen king, queen 10, something like
jack,
that.
Maybe.
Right? Maybe a jack, but she just wants to peel one more off. But from her perspective, you led into 4 people, right? If I'm her, I think you have a really strong hand. You don't have some kind of drawing hand. I put you on pretty much what you have. Queen jack set. Maybe the nut straight already. I think you have a strong hand. So, good read. I like that you said that. She does not like her hand right now. So she's on some kind of draw, maybe a queen at best. All right, so let's go to the turn. Perfect. Easy, safe card, right? Like blank as hell. So if you're in the lead, you're still in the lead. Now what do you do?
I bet here.
You gotta bet, right? You gotta charge. You do. Still scared of all those straights. You gotta charge for it, right? You still bet. So we see the pot up here at $71.
I think I bet like 30 or 40 bucks.
Yeah, you go. I thought maybe I'm a little low on that. I thought it was around $25 because I remember the river bet, and so I remember. So we'll get into that later. But so I still think you bet kind of low here, 25 maybe. Maybe I'm a little off. But you're doing the right thing. You're charging for them in case they have an ace king, king 10, something like that kind of hand. Because you're way ahead right now. All right, so good job betting out, and they decide to just call again. Okay. Same reason you just went over, right? They're not in love with their hand. They're just calling still, right? I mean, they're not trapping with a straight here.
They're just hoping.
Because straight is very vulnerable. So they're just hoping to get to showdown here as cheaply as possible, right? So good read. All right, so the river cards makes this hand interesting. That pesky ace pops up on the river. All right, what do you think now? What comes up? What comes through your head? Anything?
That's not the card I wanted to see.
No, not the card you wanted to see, because that completes King 10, which in my head is the most likely draw that they would be on. King 10, because that was open-ended both sides, and they just hit it with the ace. That's the most likely draw, because there was no flush draw out there, was King 10 to me. So that completed that that draw. So you see it. What do you think? Do you remember what was going through your head at that moment?
I don't remember, but I think I checked it to them. So
now you bet it.
I bet,
which I'm okay with. You bet it. 25 here, because I remember they raised you.
Okay.
I remember the raise. They raised you. And so I'm at the dealer button here, and she's sitting. This is the little short girl that I was playing with.
Okay.
She raised you, and my read on her, player read here, is that she's a tight player, right? She's not gonna
And she had
that big without something, right? She had a low stack. She had less than $200 or something, and she's betting over half her chips on this pot. So it's back on you. What do you mean? You just got raised on the river with a scare card out there. What do you think?
I call.
Yeah, but why do you call?
At this point, I call because I didn't think I think she hit an ace right there, and I'm like, all right, she has a pair of aces, and that's why I bet. That's why I called.
So you think she had like ace king?
I didn't think there was gonna be I don't think she was looking for the straight. I didn't have that in mind.
You didn't have the straight in mind? Okay. So you think she had like ace king and finally hit an ace. Now, if you were in her spot and you had ace king and hit the ace on the river, would you raise? Because now, I mean, your best hand is a pair of aces. You would raise somebody that's been betting into you the whole time and your best hand's a pair of aces? No. And from her spot, if you were sitting with and you had ace king,
I would have just called.
You just would have called, right? Yeah. So let's rethink that a little bit. So why is she raising if she just had an ace king? Right? Why? I mean, why not just call? Okay, well, maybe I got lucky with my ace here, and she just has a queen. I'll just call and see what happens. Yeah, why raise? Right? Yeah, she's telling you, I've got a good hand.
Right.
Right. She's got more than just an ace. That thing, you got to go through your mind at all. Or are you just too deep in this hand at this point? You're just gonna. I got my set. I don't care what anybody else has.
I was like, she probably has two pair. She hit an ace, but I'm going to call that.
You're going to call it off? So the straight never crossed your mind?
It was a very straighty board, yes. But
that did cross your mind. So when she raised, I remember looking at the board and thinking she's got king 10. Like, what other hand are you raising with there? Like, two pair, I just call because it's still a straighty board. You could have king 10. You could have 9-10. You could have all those hands. Why raise with ace, queen, ace, jack, ace, 8? Why raise with any of those hands? So when she raised, my radar went up to king 10. It comes back to you, and you do call. And I remember even saying, like, oh, that might be a bad call. Because I thought what you had, I was like, okay, she at least has queen jack here, right? And if you had another set, I didn't know that. But I was like, she's at least got queen jack to bet this the whole way.
And she was even though she had a lower stack, she was a loose player.
She was a bad player. She did not read hands correctly. But that was the first time I'd played with her, I think.
But I read into that also. That was every time she.
That's a good way to put
she bet almost every.
Exactly. Hand. Yeah. So that's another remember that Hasim hand I had where I just had to call it off just based on the player alone that he was too wild here.
Yeah.
So I even told you that might be a bad call right there because I just thought you lost a couple $100, but she ends up flipping over ace jack for two pair. So she thought her two pair was good on the river there. And she called you down with just a jack. So she really, really showed you no respect there the whole time. And then called you. So bad play on her part.
Yeah.
But from my perspective where I was sitting, I thought we had two monster hands going at it. And she sucked out on you on the river with king 10. But you got... Did you think about it? No? That's why I wanted to talk about this hand, because I'm going to tell you, in most normal games, they're going to wake up with king 10. Right there. That's going to be the hand, right? Okay. She's a bad player.
That's what I was... Okay, that's what I wanted to say. It's
she's a bad player. Exactly. So you can make that call against that player, but when we go to Vegas and stuff, I'm telling you, most players are going to wake up with king 10 right there. They're not raising you on the river without the goods.
Right.
The goods, you know what I mean? The nutty McNuttersons. The sweet and tender nutters. The sweet, salty, the big Boboskis. Okay. All right. So seems like we were a little long on that one. Okay. I had another one prepared, but we'll save that for later.
Or just do the one that's better. Just do shoot two, and then whichever one you like most.
I'll beat the director here, young lady. I do want to talk real quick about something else that we're doing. We'll be filming the flipping of a house. here. And I'm going to put that on the YouTube too.
Okay.
And
on the YouTube?
For those that don't know, we flip houses, and we've got 2 in the works right now. And so Ciara is going to go over her flipping strategies here, where we can make some money. So I may have to, I guess it was...
So I can share to the world.
Yeah, this may turn into, instead of Average J Poker, maybe it's just Average J and Ciara.
I'm not average, though.
We'll work on the name, working title. But there it is. A hand that Ciara won, because she doesn't like it when I do hands that she loses. And then I end up sleeping on the couch. What do you mean? That's a great hand to do right there.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember I thought it was a good hand because I read something differently going on in the hand, and I wanted to know what you thought about it.
You should have talked about my straight when I flopped the straight. And I played that very well.
That's easy hand. You flopped the nuts and you had the nuts the whole time. That was pretty easy hand.
I had that, though.
No, I didn't know you had that, but I thought you had something good. But that's a boring hand. You flopped the nuts and you got paid. This is an interesting hand because you don't have the nuts by far, and somebody raised you to put pressure on you in the end.
Okay.
That's why this is an interesting. I'll be running this show here, young lady. Okay, I'll be running this show. You just leave it up to me. All right. Until next time. We'll see ya.